Hello, my dear ones. 2 weeks ago, shortly before February 17th, when the year of the Red Fire Horse officially began, we talked about what this year may bring humanity on the political stage. And then I promised that the next video would be about each person, their destiny, and their personal choice. If we look at what is happening through the lens of archetypes, there are years you can live normally, like a polite calendar, where the days are neatly stitched together with a thread of habits and well-worn rules. And there are years that come not as a calendar, but as a challenge. The fire horse is exactly such an archetype, not evil, but intolerant of the shadow, not destructive by nature, but merciless to what should have been completed long ago. In the symbolic language of the East, the horse's speed, direction, freedom, risk, fearlessness, and the ability to break out of the storm. Fire is truth that doesn't explain or prove, it simply reveals and reveals itself. Together, the horse and fire create a year of the highest dynamics, sharp decisions, minimal tolerance for stagnation, and an intensified inner feeling. I will no longer live someone else's life. It is time to start writing the book of your own life, not imposed, not convenient, but real. A year when both the person and society begin to hear the inner thunder of hosts. Now, there is nowhere left to postpone. Karma, in a psychological sense, is not punishment and not mystical bookkeeping. It is the inertia of causes and consequences. What we repeat until we become aware. The fire horse speeds up resolutions. So in 2026, many will feel this. Old storylines no longer drag on. They either unravel or they tear. The key theme of the year for the individual sounds like this. I choose for myself, not out of caprice, not out of stubbornness, but out of maturity. In years like this, crossroads often appear, a move, breakups, or an honest conversation, a change of status, a change of trajectory, an exit from a comfortable role. Sometimes the strongest things happen quietly. A person simply stops agreeing to what makes them smaller and devalues them. But there is a subtlety here. The freedom of the fire horse can easily turn into impulsiveness. That is why the main inner etiquette of 2026 is this. Do not act on a flash. Act from inner truth and awareness. Do not gallop into a new direction just because you want to run away from yourself or from what you don't yet have the courage to face, but calmly, bravely, and honestly find your real self and understand where exactly you need to go and what you truly want to do, build, and create. 3 karmic questions of 2026. Each person will meet them one way or another. What in me has long been asking for an honest decision? What roles do I play out of fear, duty, or the desire to be convenient? Am I ready to pay the price of maturity, responsibility for the consequences of my choice? The fire horse has a special intolerance for living in draft mode. It is as if it says, either you are present in your own destiny, or destiny will begin to live instead of you. Karma of countries and karma of a person. It is important to remember you do not live in a vacuum. You are part of a family, a society, a country. If a person's karma is repeating personal scripts, then a country's karma is repeating collective habits. What is considered acceptable? Whom it is convenient not to notice? Where injustice accumulates? how a society treats truth and responsibility. On the level of societies, the fire horse amplifies polarization not because people became worse, but because tolerance for half-tones disappears. The exposure of hidden conflicts, what was kept silent, begins to speak by itself. The accelerated collapse of outdated models of governance, especially those held together by fear and imitation. The karmic choice for countries and for people in 2026 sounds like this: speed without meaning, or conscious direction with no guarantees, but with inner truth. Learn to observe not only the karmic lessons of your own personality, but also the path of your country as a whole personality. You are part of its karma. Then your understanding of events will be deeper and your living through them more conscious. 2026 through the archetypes of personality. Who is taking what exam? And now, my dear ones, let us move to a very important part, the analysis of 2026 through the archetypes of personality. To live this year consciously, it helps to think in archetypes as styles of the psyche and ways of being in the world that live in each of us in different proportions. In the year of the fire horse, each archetype seems to step into an exam, not to be punished, but to mature. 1. The warrior archetype. If courage speaks in you, the ability to build and guard your boundaries, the desire to act, to protect, to stand your ground, then in 2026, your main trap is aggression instead of strength. The fire horse will push the warrior into reactions like hit first, don't yield, prove it. But the true strength of the warrior this year is not attack, but discipline and strategy. The warrior's exam sounds like this: can I act firmly, without destroying either myself or others? In 2026, the warrior learns to choose battles of the line, not waste energy on wars that do not lead to growth. 2. The seeker, traveler, archetype. If you feel the pull toward freedom, change, a new road. If the old forms feel too tight and you want to go beyond the horizon, then your trap in 2026 is escaping responsibility under the mask of searching for yourself. The seeker's phrase of the year may sound like, I'm looking for myself, but it is important to ask honestly, am I searching or am I running? The seeker's key in 2026 is freedom with roots. Change your path not out of boredom or exhaustion, but out of a call of values. It is very important to hear what exactly you want to discover, what new, interesting, and noble you want to touch, and moving forward, not lose yourself and not lose what you always want to return to. 3. The ruler archetype. If your theme is reading yourself, structures, resources, processes, if you are used to carrying responsibility and holding the system, then this year's trap is control as a way not to feel. The fire horse breaks rigid, inflexible constructions, especially those held together by fear and a strict vertical. The ruler's exam in 2026. Can I renew the rules without losing dignity? The key is flexibility. To manage does not mean not hearing, not feeling, not accounting for what is alive. Flexible systems survive where rigid ones break. 4. The creator archetype. If you hear in yourself a new project, a new form of life, a desire to create and to change, then the trap of 2026 is chaos instead of creativity, many ideas, much inspiration. and nothing is brought to completion. The fire horse gives a powerful impulse, but it does not tolerate scattering. The creator's key is small daily completions. They are, in fact, the highest magic of this year. 5. The healer, helper, archetype. If these themes are strong in you, help, service, supporting people, then the biggest trap of 2026 is rescuing and burnout. The danger phrase sounds like, I don't want to and I can't anymore, but I must. In the year of the fire horse, that won't work, at least not for long, and not with joy. The healer's key is boundaries and support. Help, not out of duty, not for a grade or approval, not out of fear of being unnecessary, but from mature, full energy. The year's guiding archetype, the inner aristocrat. If we had to choose one guiding archetype for everyone, it would be the inner aristocrat, the ability to remain noble, not because you must, not for approval, but because this is your level. The inner aristocrat doesn't fuss, doesn't humiliate, doesn't sell dignity for effect, and can hold firm even in fire. Professions and fields in 2026. The fire horse highlights areas where speed, adaptation, and meaning matter, especially in demand. Psychologists and crisis specialists, coaches, mentors, teachers, change and risk management specialists, cybersecurity and analytics, technology ethics and mediation, zones of vulnerability, routine professions without renewal, growth inside artificial hierarchies, helping professions without boundaries and a gentle pace. Vulnerability is not a verdict. It is an invitation to update. Karmic psychological traps of the fire horse. The impulse trap. Antidote. A 24 to 72-hour pause. Freedom without maturity. Antidote. Responsibility. Surely independence. Antidote. Allies. Burnout at speed. Antidote. Rhythm. Righteous anger. Antidote. Nobility. The inner key of the year. If we express the essence of 2026 in one phrase, it will be this. Freedom requires maturity. Move fast, but do not fuss. Choose firmly, but do not humiliate. Speak the truth, but do not turn it into a weapon. The most karmically true act in 2026 is to make choices from values, not from reaction. A sure blessing. 2026 is not about struggle and speed. It is about the dignity of movement. Do not rush, but go. Do not prove, but be. Do not destroy. Step beyond your limits. This knowledge and analysis can help each person not get lost and not feel helpless in the stormy sea of this year's events. Hear and understand the voice of the universe, its lessons, and continue living your life beautifully and consciously. Stay with me, subscribe to the channel, and if this video touched something important inside you, I will be grateful for your support with a like and a kind comment. It will help this work reach other people who may find it useful too. I am here to create something meaningful and helpful for people. See you soon, my dear ones. I embrace you with great warmth and love. And next time we will have our first lesson on how to learn to understand the science of the universe. We will look at the events from the beginning of this year touching on January, and perhaps a little of February, and we will think, what were we meant to learn here? And what signs did the universe give us? What was it telling us according to the Creator's design? We will deliberately analyze the early events of the year so that you do not give in to emotions. Because if we analyze the events that are happening right now, your emotional reaction to the events you are living through personally will not let you learn to hear the voice of the universe. But with time, I believe I will teach you to hear the voice of the universe, even in the most immediate events, those happening this very moment. For now, we will practice a little on events that are at some distance, though not too far away. I love you. I hug you. And until we meet again,